Now on CoastTV News.
Salary saga. Rehoboth Beach commissioners consider a pay increase for its city manager after months of controversy over his salary. Chaos in California with the National Guard deployed after violent protests against illegal migrant arrest. We have reaction here from Delmarva.
This is CoastTV News Midday.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News Midday. We're now going to take a live look outside into a dreary Rehoboth Beach and bring in our first alert meteorologist Bob Trihey for a look at the weather. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Brandon. It looks like the coast is hanging on to some of that fog, and that fog was dense this morning, less than a mile in a lot of places. Right now, 8 to 10 miles, so that fog deck is now lifted into low clouds, so the visibility is much better, but we've still been seeing areas of patchy drizzle across Sussex County. This is a visible satellite picture. Anywhere you see black, that is some sun that's beginning to poke through. We're seeing that around Seaford, also the eastern shore, seeing a nice gap in the clouds there. So eventually I think these low clouds will start to burn off as we go through the next couple of hours as weak low pressure is moving out. You can see DC is in the sunshine now. So eventually we will see sun across Delmarva. It'll take a little while. And where it's a little brighter and sunnier, lower 70s from Salisbury to Gumboro and Bridgeville, still mid 60s at the coast, but everybody will start to warm up as we're seeing a bit of an onshore flow at the coast and a bit of an offshore wind inland areas. So I think into the afternoon with sunshine, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s inland areas. Cooler at the beaches, 60s and 70s there, maybe even mid 80s around Delmar into Salisbury as well. So plan on sunshine this afternoon. Have the sunglasses, but more storms are back in the forecast with a cold front on Tuesday. Then a big warm up for the rest of the week. Much more in my full forecast a little bit later in the newscast.
Thank you, Bob. Now to national news on your screen now. Images from the chaos in Los Angeles as violent protesters over arrest of illegal migrants continue. A number of those involved waving Mexican flags and other flags of Latin American countries. President Donald Trump deployed over 2,000 National Guardsmen to help control the situation. Jen Sullivan shows us reaction from law enforcement and community members.
The National Guard pushing back crowds in Los Angeles Sunday as protests over recent immigration raids stretch into a third day. Federal officers using pepper spray to disperse crowds. Crowds began protesting Friday after dozens of people were arrested by federal immigration agents as the Trump administration cracks down on unauthorized immigration. The latest raids instilling fear and anger in many Southern California communities.
Our community is living in a state of terror.
Why are they being treated like second-class citizens? That's the anger the community feels right now.
Saturday, crowds taking over streets, shutting down traffic. This car set on fire in Paramount, about 20 minutes south of LA, where authorities tried to control the crowds. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department releasing an advisory Saturday, saying in part, protesters became increasingly agitated, throwing objects and exhibiting violent behavior toward federal agents and deputy sheriffs. The White House deploying 2,000 National Guardsmen to help local authorities in Los Angeles.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Some leaders, though, think it's a drastic response.
This is really just an escalation of the president coming into California. We haven't asked for the help. We don't need the help.
California has the highest unauthorized immigrant population in the country, according to data from the Pew Research Center, with roughly 1.8 million in 2022. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
President Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom spoke on the phone Friday to discuss the situation, according to Newsom's office. This was before Trump ordered the National Guard to assist. Last night on X, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer posted President Trump's move to deploy California's National Guard is an alarming abuse of power. And here's the reaction from Congressman Andy Harris, who represents Maryland's Eastern Shore. Quote, when California state leaders refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement agents, they're not defending peace, they're defending disorder. Now moving back to the coast, Rehoboth Beach commissioners are debating giving a pay increase for city manager Taylor Tedder. You may remember Tedder was already offered a salary of $250,000 when he began working for the city in 2024. And at the end of May, a lawsuit by a group of homeowners argued that the hiring process violated the city charter, and they're moving forward after a Chancery Court ruled they have a viable claim. Tedder is also presenting an update on goals that he is responsible for. These include ensuring the city adheres to state and federal regulations, preparing a citywide stormwater management plan, and putting in place a process to identify sidewalk maintenance needs and how to address those issues. A public hearing is taking place tonight in Lewis on regulations for operating a business out of your home. Some of the recommendations include limiting the workspace to 10% or 300 square feet of any floor of the home or a separate building on the property, and parking must be consistent with the neighborhood. The customers, clients, or patients are by appointment only. Tonight in Milford, the City Council is expecting to approve the date for people to appeal the recent assessment of their property. The date they're looking at is July 28th. The Milford Council says copies of the assessment are available online and at City Hall. Appeal applications to the Customer Service Department must be in by 4:30 p.m. on Monday, July 11th. Coming up later on Coast TV News Midday, staying safe in the sun, tips to keep you safe on the beach. But first, Deep Branch Park funds discussion. What programs could be coming to Deep Branch? Tonight, Milford is answering the question of how to pay for the recently approved Deep Branch Park. The City Council could authorize the Outdoor Recreation Parks and Trails program provide money, including a minimum of $125,000 in matching funds. Last month, plans for Deep Branch Park off South Rehoboth Boulevard includes a walking and biking path, a playground, and more than 7 acres of open space, and also a basketball court and a pickleball court. Tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 8, it's boys basketball, and at 10 o'clock, it's post time followed by the final score. And here are the exclusives on the DSN Plus app. 2 games in the Maryland Supreme Boys Basketball League, both taking place at 6:15. And here's what you can expect this afternoon at 4 on Coast Life.
We know that Mondays are hard, but Coast Life is always easy and fun to watch. Here's what's coming up today on the show at 4 o'clock. We know that Charlie's off enjoying some R&R time, a little bit of vacation. That's why we've got more guest hosts, including somebody from Custom Fit 360. And we've got some more fitness tips and things to keep you in shape that we're going to dive into. And also, Mondays are always for a little bit of a laugh. That's why we've got our joke jar for you as well. All that fun and more is coming up today at 4 on Coast Life. We'll see you then.
Still looking a little dreary on the tunnel and razor cam, even some drizzle and light rain on the lens. 66, and this afternoon warming into the low 70s. We will see sunshine headed our way, and temperatures will be pretty nice as we go through time, and still warm and muggy today with increasing storm chances on Tuesday with a cold front, and then warm to hot for the end of the week. Congratulations to Gail Dennis from Frankfurt on winning a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV. I'll have your full forecast coming up after the break. We've seen changeable weather on this Monday. Began with showers and storms very early this morning, then lots of fog and low clouds and drizzle much of the morning. And now look at this, starting to see some blue skies on the FH Furcam in Cambridge. That's nice to see. Mid 70s, 75 right now, and we're headed into the upper 70s, close to 80 this afternoon, especially inland areas. Our storyline today and tomorrow, it's muggy, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the 70s and low 80s. I think we're looking at a stormier Tuesday with a cold front. More on that in just a moment. Then midweek, we start a warm up. I think it's lower humidity, mid 80s on Wednesday, and then upper 80s close to 90 by the end of the week. All right, here's our visibility. We're looking much better than this morning where we had less than a mile in fog. Right now it's about 8 to 10 miles all across Delaware, the eastern shore, and into Dover. But right along the coast, we're definitely seeing some of those low clouds and a little bit of drizzle still hanging on. And temperatures at the beach is 65 from Bethany Beach up to Lewis, 69 in Georgetown, 72 in Laurel and Salisbury. I think you're starting to see more in the way of bright spots, more in the way of sunshine, and that's why you're a little warmer right now. As we've got variable winds, a bit of a sea breeze and onshore wind at the coast. Offshore, inland, very, very light Yesterday, we had an easterly wind that kept us cooler. I think we're going to be a little warmer today as we're seeing the low clouds beginning to break up. This is the visible satellite picture. Starting to see some black showing up in western Sussex County and the eastern shore. A bigger gap, more in the way of blue skies here, back into the D.C. area, and that's what's headed our way. We will be looking at that sunshine this afternoon, but it's going to be pretty muggy as weak low pressure is moving away, and we have weak high pressure behind it that will clear us out. And then we're watching a couple of frontal boundaries across the Ohio Valley and upper Midwest. That will increase our chances for storms as we go into tomorrow. But today, basically a low chance of seeing any kind of rain, just a little bit of drizzle. But then we go into Tuesday and you start to see a higher chance of scattered to probable showers and storms as we go into the morning and afternoon, and then those chances go down as we go into the evening hours. So let's track it on Futurecast this afternoon with sunshine. We're into the low 80s inland areas, maybe some mid 80s with 60s and 70s at the beaches. And then this evening, mild and muggy. We could see more fog developing again as we go through the overnight hours. And as we go into your Tuesday morning, mild and muggy. Could start to see some showers and storms as early as about 6 a.m. with some heavier rain. And as we go through time, we're going to be looking at that southwesterly breeze picking up in the afternoon, and still a chance of scattered showers and storms, I think, as we go into the afternoon with a cold front. Some of those could contain gusty winds, and then we finally start to dry it out as we go into Wednesday morning. Looks like damaging winds. That's the main threat tomorrow afternoon. We have a marginal or low chance of seeing severe weather. And then Wednesday through Friday, it's warm and muggy. Mid 80s, lower humidity Wednesday, but then upper 80s close to 90 with humidity later in the week. As we're humid to muggy now, we get a little comfortable for a day on Wednesday, and then it's back to humid to very humid conditions after that. 80 in Georgetown with sunshine this afternoon, but cooler 72 in Rehoboth, 83 in Laurel. For the eastern shore, you're in the lower 80s from Easton back through Vienna. And then for Salisbury, 83, about 82 in Crisfield, Chickatig 83, and even 80 in Ocean City as we go into the afternoon. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, lower 80s the next couple of days. Those gusty storms Tuesday, maybe some damaging winds, and then lower humidity Wednesday, 84, upper 80s Thursday, flirting with 90 in some spots. And then by the weekend, more showers and storms Saturday, 81. Hopefully drier. It will be a little cooler for Dad on Sunday, mostly cloudy, and a high of 76.
A new Apple update could be hitting your phone today. That's up next. Apple is set to announce updates to how we use the iPhone and its other devices. The tech company's week-long worldwide developers conference kicks off this afternoon. Apple will likely announce updates to its Apple Intelligence Suite of AI features. The annual event is held at Apple's headquarters in California. After the break here on Coast TV News Midday, staying safe in the sun, tips you need to know to avoid getting burned. It's that time of the year again when we're all outdoors more often and under the sun. Overexposure to ultraviolet rays can not only raise the risk of developing skin cancer, but it also hurts. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has ways to treat and prevent sunburn this summer.
From the pool to the beach, or even just playing outdoors, this time of year we're exposed to excessive amounts of sun.
If you're starting to feel uncomfortable, you've already experienced the start of a sunburn.
Dr. Susan Masick with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says sunburns may take up to 5 hours to show. If you suspect you're getting burned, she says to get indoors and out of ultraviolet light exposure. Once inside, stay as cool as possible. Get into air conditioning or in front of a fan, or take a cold shower. Cold compresses can also help, so can ice packs, but wrap the pack in a towel so they're not directly on burned skin. She says anti-inflammatory medicines like ibuprofen can also make you feel better, as well as aloe vera gel to keep skin cool.
You want to avoid anything that could be occlusive or that will trap in heat. So avoid any types of ointments or creams or heavy moisturizers that will just make you feel even more warm.
Since excessive UV ray exposure also raises the risk of skin cancer, Masick says it's best to avoid sunburns altogether. You can wear ultraviolet protection factor or UPF clothing, rash guards, swimsuits, and wide-brimmed hats, or apply a broad spectrum sunscreen about 15 minutes before heading outdoors so it has time to absorb, and reapply every 2 to 3 hours.
But certainly if you find that you're perspiring or sweating or swimming, you may want to reapply sooner.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
You do get severe sunburn or have significant blisters or difficulty staying hydrated and have a lot of pain, Masick says it's time to see a doctor immediately.
Not seeing too much sun right now on the Tyndall's Casual Furniture Cam and Laurel. Lots of low clouds, but we'll see blue skies building in this afternoon. Temperatures near 80 as it's mild and muggy. Storm chances increase Tuesday with a cold front, then warm to hot and muggy towards the end of the week. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. The number is 443-880-9100. Your forecast just a call away. Sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. I'll have your changing 10-day forecast coming up after the break.
Rough week, cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV. Sign up now for our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/signup.
I think we're looking at more sunshine. We'll be feeling good into the afternoon with clouds breaking up. Still lots of low clouds in Delaware, but across the eastern shore seeing sun. And I think a lot of us seeing a mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. Mid-70s to around 80. That's farther inland, mainly 70s at the beaches. Paul Davis 10-day forecast could see some gusty showers and storms Tuesday. Maybe some damaging winds possible with some of those storms. Make sure you have the Coast TV weather app. 81. Lower humidity Wednesday. Lots of sunshine. 84. Upper 80s the end of the week. Some places maybe 90 well inland and turning muggy. And well, the weekend starts with storms. 81, and then looking better for Father's Day. 76, maybe more rain chances by Monday, and then again by Wednesday, and a high of 82.
Thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News Midday. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. Don't forget to join us later this afternoon for Coast TV News at 5. Have a great day.